Hello students, welcome to the video tutorial of Informatics Practices for Class 12. Today we'll be discussing the fifth and the last part of the chapter, Python Pandas. So let's begin. First topic today is reindexing and altering labels. Okay, so as the name suggests, reindexing and altering labels are used for giving the new indexing or reindexing the already indexed data frame. Okay, so if you want to reindex it or if we want to alter it in somehow way, then that is the reindexing and altering labels. So when we create a data frame object, it gets its row number, which is also called the index number, and the column labels automatically. Okay, that is the default indexing of the data frame. But sometimes we need to change this automatic labeling. Okay, so there may be some reasons or there may be some need to change this default labeling. Okay, so for this problem we have a solution which is known as the reindexing. Okay, now following methods are provided by pandas for reindexing. These are these three methods: rename method, reindex method, and reindex underscore like method. Okay, now first let's talk about the rename method. This function renames the existing indexes slash column labels in data frame. Okay, so the rename method means that you are already having the names of the indexes and now you want to give a new name. Okay, suppose if you are having the indexes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now you want to rename it like A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, so that is the rename method. Okay, now the new and the old indexes are provided in the form of a dictionary. Okay, now as you know that whenever we are giving or creating a dictionary in a Python, we have to give it in a key value pair form. Okay, so here when we are going to put this indexes in the form of dictionary, here the keys are the old indexes. Okay, that means whatever the index was there in the data frame already, that is to be given in the keys. Okay, and the values will be the new indexes. Okay, so the dictionary will be able to associate that which is required for which index. Okay, suppose you can give it a colon 1, that means earlier index was a and now it has to be replaced with index 1. Now let's see some example here. Suppose we have written this code: import pandas as pd, d1 is equals to 2016 qtr 134, qtr 230, qtr 335, and 2017 and 18 columns we have given. Now what we are doing, that d1 is being created in the form of a dictionary, and df is equals to pd dot data frame d1. That means we are passing this dictionary into the data frame. Okay, now df will have the dictionary part in the form of data frame. Okay, now when we are going to print df, we will have this one output. Okay, as you can see in the right hand side, already we are having a data frame. Okay, now if we are going to write this, print df dot rename index is equals to qtr1 colon 1, qtr2 colon 2, and qtr3 colon 3. As I have told earlier that when you are going to rename the indexes, then you have to give it in the form of dictionary and key value pairs. Okay, so the keys are the old indexes. As you can see in our data frame, the indexes were qtr1, qtr2, and qtr3. In the similar way, we have passed these things in the keys of the dictionary, and now the values associated with the keys are 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now if we are going to print this, let's see what is going to be the output. See, the column names are same, but now the indexes have been changed, and qtr1 has been replaced by 1, qtr2 has been replaced by 2, and qtr3 has been replaced by 3. Okay, so whatever the things we are given in the form of dictionary in the key value pair, it has been replaced accordingly. Okay, now see, if we are going to print df again, let's see what is the output. See, the index which we have just now given has still not changed it. So whatever the indexing you are doing, renaming it, it has to be changed also. Okay, means if you are going to print it in with the with the rename function, then it will show you the new indexes, but it has to be reflected in the data frame also. Okay, so why it is not reflecting? Because we have not used a special argument which is known as the in place. Okay, now let's see if we are going to write this one: df dot rename index qtr1 1 qtr2 2 qtr3 3, and now we have used this special argument in place is equals to true. Now what it does is that whatever the indexes you have renamed, it has to be reflected into the data frame itself. Okay, and that can be done with this argument in place is equals to true, because by default the in place is equals to false is there. Okay, but when we are going to write in place is equals to true, now this will reflect the changes in the data frame. And now if we are going to print df, let's see the output. You can see now in df the indexes has been renamed. Okay, so you have to be very careful with this, that if you are not going to use in place is equals to true, the indexing will be done according to the renaming, but it will not be reflected in the original data frame. Okay, but if you want to reflect the changes in the data frame also, you have to use this special argument, that is in place is equals to true. Okay, now let's move further. Suppose, sorry, we have the having the next method, that is the reindex method. This function is used to change the order of existing indices labels. Okay, that means if you are already having the indexes, okay, in the data frame, and if we want to change the order of the existing indexes, okay, suppose the index is given like 1 2 3 4 5, and we want to change the indexes by 5 1 4 3 2. Okay, now that can be done using this reindex method. Okay, for example, here we are having this original data frame with the indexes name as qtr1 qtr2 and qtr3, and the columns are there 2016 2017 and 2018. Now see, if we are going to write this line, df is equals to df dot reindex qtr3 qtr1 qtr2, and if we are going to print df, let's see what is the output here. You can see the columns name are still the same, qtr, sorry, 2016 2017 and 2018, but the row indexes here are qtr3 qtr1 and qtr2. Okay, so whatever the indexes we have given in this df.reindex particular list form, that is the new index of this data frame. Okay, but here, as we have used in the previous method, that rename method, the special argument was in place is equals to true. That is not a valid argument in reindex method. Okay, so if we want to reflect the changes in the data frame, we need to modify the data frame itself. Okay, that means we need to override the existing data frame, and that can be done by this line: df is equals to df dot reindex qtr3 qtr1 qtr2. And now if we are going to print df, we will get this type of data frame. Okay, that means now whatever the changes were there has been reflected in the original data frame itself. Okay, and the columns names were still the same, 2016 2017 2018, but the row indexes has been changed, and now the indexes are qtr3 qtr1 and qtr2. Okay, now let's see, print df.reindex qtr3 qtr1 qtr2 comma qtr4 and comma fill underscore value is equals to 40. Now see, there are two interesting things here. First, that the original data frame earlier was having only three indexes, okay, qtr1 2 and 3, but now we have also introduced the new index qtr4. So if we are going to create this index in the original data frame, the qtr3 qtr1 and qtr2 will have their respective values, but qtr4 will be added with the NaN. Okay, NaN, that means not a number, because QTR4 is not having any type of entries, so it has to be filled by an entry, and the default entry for this is NaN. Okay, but and the similar procedure we are also using this special argument fill underscore value is equals to 40. Now what it does is that NaN has to be replaced with this 40 now. Okay, because if we would have not given this fill underscore values equals to 40, the qtr4 was going to have the values with nan. But since we are giving this fill underscore values equals to 40, now this nan will be replaced by 40 itself. Okay, now let's see the output here. If you are going to print this, you will have this. The columns are still the same: 2016, 2017, 2018, and the indexing as was done earlier is qtr3, qtr1, qtr2. But here also we have added this qtr4 index, and this qtr4 is having the values as 40 because we have specified fill underscore value is equals to 40. Okay, so I don't think any problem is there till now. So let's move further. The third one, reindex underscore like method. Now, as the name suggests, reindex underscore like. That means it has to be likewise similar with some other data frame. Okay. Suppose in a class, if one row is there which has been indexed accordingly like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, X, and if the second row is there and we have to reindex it according to the first row, then it will also follow the indexing as A, B, C, D, E, and F. Okay. In the similar way, here also for reindex underscore like method, this function, if it has to work on a data frame, then reindexes of the data as per the data argument is required with the new data frame as well. Okay, or you can say a reference data frame. Okay, now suppose this is the data frame df2. Okay, now this data frame df2 has been printed like this: 2016, 2017, 2018, and the index names are a, qtr2, qtr3, and qtr4. Now the values of 2016, 17, 18 has been given. Now you have to be very careful with this. Now whatever the next lines are going to be printed, see, print df.reindex underscore like df2. Now what here we are doing is that we are giving the special argument which is to be passed with the original data frame. Okay, now this print df.reindex underscore like df2 means that you have to index the original data frame df as per the indices of df2. Okay, now df2 indexes are a, qtr2, qtr3, and qtr4. Now if you are going to compare the original data frame and the df2 data frame, the qtr1 call index is there in original data frame, but qtr1 is not there in df2. Okay, qtr2 and qtr3 are there in both of the data frames, but again in qtr4 is there in the df2 data frame, but it is not existing in the original data frame. Okay, since the index has to be done according to the data frame 2, so whatever the indexes are there in data frame 2 has to be taken. Okay, now if that particular index of data frame 2 is not there in data frame 1, that is the original data frame, it will create the index for this also, but it will fill the values as nan. Okay, now let's see the output here. We are having three columns: 2016, 2017, 2018, and the indexes are a, qtr2, qtr3, and qtr4. But now see, some changes are there. See, qtr2 and qtr3 were there in original data frame, so qtr2 and qtr3 are there in the final data frame also. A was not there in the original data frame. Now A has been given the index here, but since there are no associated values to it, so it has been replaced with nan. And qtr4 was there in the data frame df2, but it was not existing in data frame 1, that is the original data frame. So again qtr4 has been replaced with the values nan. Okay, now whatever the things you are going to give, okay, has to be carefully treated, whether you are going to give the original data frame earlier or later on. That means if this would have been given like this, that print df.reindex underscore like df3, so df3 would have been already existing in that particular instance, then only this reindexing was possible. Okay, if df3 is not there and if you are trying to reindex it, then that will produce an error, obviously, because it needs to have a reference of the indexes according to which the new indexing has to be done. Okay, so let's move further now. There is an assignment for you. Okay, the assignment will include this table first, and you have to create a data frame df as per above given table. Okay, in the table you can see year is there, month is there, passengers are there. Okay, and the indexes has been given 0, 1 and 2. Values have been provided for the year, month and passengers. Now you have to create a data frame df as per above given table. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to create a new data frame according to the values given in the table. Okay, and obviously you don't have to provide the indexes for it, because by default the indexing will be given as 0, 1, 2 only, but you have to careful about the names of the columns and the values associated with the columns and the rows. Okay, now after creating the data frame, you have to sort the data frame according to the passengers in descending order. Okay, sorting has to be done in the descending order. Be very careful with this. Okay, you need to remember the arguments which was required to sort the data frame in the descending order. Third is compute total passengers per year. Now, how you will calculate this total passengers per year? You have already studied in the previous video tutorials about the pivot function. Okay, so you have to use the pivot function for this, and by pivoting it, you have to compute the total passengers per year. Okay, also the fourth question is there, that compute average passengers per month. Now, months are also there, January, February, and March. So, again, by using the pivot function, this thing can be considered. Okay, so I think that's enough for today's video lecture. We'll be meeting in the next lecture. Thank you, students.